The armed forces of Ukraine continue to carry out a fair resistance to the invasion of the Russian army. And Russia, on the other hand, does not refrain from targeting important settlements in order to hide its military failures. The armed forces of Ukraine continue to stand resolutely in the face of Russia thanks to its increased military power. Russian President Vladimir Putin was forced to change his military objectives in the process, to which the armed forces of Ukraine put up enormous resistance. So much so that the Russian army withdrew from the areas they wanted to occupy, losing thousands of pieces of military equipment and thousands of soldiers as well. Now they are aiming to occupy the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, where there are pro-Russian separatists. It also seems difficult for the Russians to achieve these goals at the moment, because the Ukrainian army is getting stronger every day. On February 24, 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin wanted to take Kiev, the heart of Ukraine, with an attempted invasion, which he called a special military operation. In the opposite direction, he found the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian people. Thanks to the extraordinary resistance of the armed forces of Ukraine, the Russian army has so far lost its important generals, as well as its important officers in the attempted invasion. According to military experts, Russia, which lost the brainchild of its army in the invasion of Ukraine, is constantly forced to change its military plans. According to political analysts, Russia has only natural gas in its hands that it can use against the West. The Russian military has suffered such heavy losses in the process that Russian President Vladimir Putin is outraged by these losses. According to reports from Russia, Russian President Vladimir Putin is also not shy about making decisions that will send prisoners who remain in prisons to the front. Russia is subject to significant sanctions by Europe and the United States. Especially since they are on the side of Ukraine, the attitude of Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is not shy away from using his natural gas trump card against Western countries, is being followed curiously by Europe. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, on the other hand, is warning European countries not to give in to Russia's threats. Russian President Vladimir Putin is preparing to make a half-cut in gas shipments to European countries in order to cover up his failure at the site. According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, this attitude of Russia is due to the fact that it wants to wage an energy war. Gazprom, Russia's largest natural gas company, which appears to be independent but has received orders from Russian President Vladimir Putin, announced that it will provide half of the gas flow under the pretext that a turbine will be put into operation on the Nord Stream gas pipeline. Today we have seen another gas threat to Europe, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a video message posted on his social media account Telegram. Despite the concessions made on the Nord Stream turbine, Russia will not continue to supply gas to European countries, which it is contractually obliged to do. All this is being done deliberately by Russia in order to make it as difficult as possible for Europeans to prepare for winter. They don't care what happens to people. They don't care how Russia will suffer from hunger caused by the closure of ports, the cold of winter and poverty or occupation. Do everything to limit Russian revenues not only from gas and oil, but also from the remaining exports. Break off trade ties with Russia as much as possible, because every such connection is a potential pressure-building tool of Russia, he said. This behavior of Gazprom is not a new phenomenon. The company, which had previously halved gas shipments to European countries under the pretext of maintenance, had started supplying Europe with 67 million cubic meters of gas again when maintenance on the turbines ended last week. The company announced that it will reduce gas shipments from Nord Stream by half to 33 million cubic meters as of July 27 due to new maintenance. Nord Stream is known as one of the important lines transporting Russian gas to Europe via Germany, and Europe supplies about 40% of the natural gas it imports from Russia. July. The European Union, on the other hand, is looking for new ways in case the gas supply is cut off. He is looking for an alternative to Russia, of which he meets 40%. The European Union received 155 billion cubic meters of gas from Russia in 2021. Within the framework of the REPowerEU strategy, which aims to reduce dependence on Russia, European countries that plan to stop importing coal from Russia by August 10, oil by the end of 2022, as well as to reduce gas purchases from Russia by 3 times by the beginning of 2023, are aiming to reduce dependence on Russia. In Europe, Lithuania, Bulgaria, Finland and Poland severed their energy ties with Russia, completely giving up Russian gas and not agreeing to pay with the Russian currency ruble. However, according to experts, the issue of natural gas can harm both Russia and the European Union. For now, Russia is selling its energy, which it plans not to give to Europe, to China and India, but experts are doubtful about whether this can be a long-term one. Like other countries that have stopped receiving Russian gas, the leading members of the European Union are aiming to increase the proportion of compressed gas, while Spain is at the forefront of the issue of compressed gas. The capacity of compressed gas terminals in Spain is 60 billion cubic meters. As part of the latest developments, the construction of a pipeline with a capacity of 30 billion cubic meters from Spain to Italy is underway, and such a pipeline has the capacity to end Italy's commitment to Russia. The European Union continues its sanctions despite the threat of Russia's natural gas. The Council of the European Union extended economic sanctions against Russia until January 31, 2023. The Council today decided to extend the sanctions imposed on Russia's economy for another 6 months until January 31, 2023, a statement from the Council of the European Union said. The Council of the European Union also reported that the sanctions consist of a wide range of areas, including restrictions on finance, energy, technology and dual-use goods, industry, transport and luxury goods. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is giving a similar example of his struggle on the field at the diplomacy table. His significant victories on the front line against the Russian army also strengthen the hand of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the table. When the invasion began, Russia, which wanted to seize the Black Sea coast and confiscate Ukrainian grain, had to say yes to an agreement that Ukraine would win at the end of the process. An agreement was reached in Istanbul between Ukraine, Russia, Turkey and the United Nations to ship Ukraine's grain waiting on the Black Sea coast to the World Trade Market deck. According to this agreement, which is an important victory for the Ukrainian economy, Ukraine's grain will be safely transferred to international markets. Ukrainian Infrastructure Minister Oleksandr Kuberkov said about the grain shipment that will start from Ukrainian ports, "We hope that the first grain ships will depart from the port of Chernomorsk this week. We hope that the agreement will begin to take effect in the coming days. We are preparing for the fact that everything will start this week," he said. Ned Price, a spokesman for the United States Department of State, said that they will support the agreement signed on the safe shipment of Ukrainian grain in any way, and that grain can be shipped from the Black Sea ports in the most effective way. The Ukrainians have been looking at all appropriate ways to export their own grain and food products since the beginning of Russia's offensive, Price said. So the fact is that we have been working with our Ukrainian partners since the beginning of the war, taking into account that Russia's aggression will lead to a global food security problem. Although our hope is that Ukraine's Black Sea ports will be opened, and Ukrainian and other countries' ships will be able to enter and leave comfortably, other ways will be needed to improve the export level. Therefore, this is not a situation in the form of a route or other, he said. Samantha Power, the director of the United States Agency for International Development, told CNN that U.S. officials are working with their Ukrainian counterparts on a Plan B for the export of grain products in the event that the agreement collapses. Samantha Power, director of the International Development Agency, said, Plan B includes land routes, railways and river routes, including the sending of barges, the readjustment of Ukrainian railways for the rapid exit of exports in terms of their compatibility with those in Europe. He used the expression,